Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. And we are back. It is 2024. This is the first episode of the new year. I think we're up to 1-1, otherwise known as 11. And I am very excited about it. I'm Steve Hinks still in 2024 and also once again still joined by Andy Walker. Andy Walker, welcome both to the Missing Links Golf Show and to 2024.
Yes, Happy New Year, Mr. Hinks, and Happy New Year to all our listeners out there. It's been a bit of a challenging end to 2023 and start of 2024, which we'll get to in the episode. But yeah, excited for what the year's going to bring.
Well, I know I'm excited as well, and I think, to be honest, I think that's probably a good place to start. Andy Walker is talking about how we finished off 2023, because I think for our loyal listeners, we kind of finished without really finishing the year as we had hoped. And we probably delayed just a little bit kickstarting 2024 as quickly as we'd hoped. And there have been a few reasons for that, not all of them good, but fortunately we seem to have come out the other side. But probably your story to tell, I think, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, we did leave 2023 with we were going to do one more episode. I think in that last week before Christmas, and yeah, I remember having the conversation, and I said to you that I felt like I was going to fall over the line last year.
That.
Well, yeah. I fell quite a bit short of the line. Yeah, yeah.
Fell short.
On the Sunday, whatever that date was, the week before Christmas, my son brought home a nice little virus, which he then passed on to me. Caring is sharing, as they say. And yeah, Monday, Tuesday, I was gone. Like, I felt as crook as what I've ever felt. A couple of years ago, I did have COVID, and this was way worse than COVID. I don't know what sort of plague it was, but it was certainly something pretty severe. So
it actually strikes me that you may have done a diamond to finish 2023.
I absolutely so well. 100% did a diamond at the end of 2023. It was a shocker. And to be honest with you, it affected me for probably a good 2 weeks, I reckon. Yeah. I mean, I started to feel better sort of towards the end of the week, but we ended up cancelling. My wife's family, who's from South America, Argentinian, and we normally do Christmas Eve with her family. We cancelled that. We cancelled Christmas Day with my family.
Cancelled Christmas? Jeez,
yeah, cancelled Christmas. I know. And my folks meant to stay with me for a couple of days, Christmas night and Boxing Day night. We had to cancel that. It was just a really ordinary finish to the year.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so
it's terrible. And obviously that has had a pretty significant impact on our ability to record podcasts, because not having a voice and coughing and spluttering your entire way through, I don't know about you, but it's not really the sort of thing that I enjoy listening to. So we've done everyone a favor and not recorded. It's good to see you back on your feet, but I'm assuming, Andy Walker, it's also had a bit of an impact on the physicality of golf for you as well. Is that a fair statement?
Definitely. Look, I feel like I've lost a fair bit of strength. I mean, it's now been probably 3 weeks. And this week I did start back into the exercise and swing speed training regime. And with DAC session, I had a couple of return to form sessions, because I'd taken a fairly significant break. But my return to form sessions have been significantly below the swing speed that I was achieving at the end of last year. So, whether it's I'm sure it's a combination of the break and also not being particularly well. But then also I've had a couple of workouts, and even in my workouts, I've used fairly light weights just to ease myself back into it, and they've actually felt pretty pretty heavy,
Pretty
to
heavy.
be honest with you.
Look,
So
it's sensible though, because the last thing that you want to do is to push it too hard and then
mm,
delay the recovery even further. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it has had an impact. I'm hopeful it won't be sort of a long-term impact, but yeah, certainly as we ease our way into 2024 and through January, I'm hoping that yeah, maybe I can get some of that swing speed and some of that strength back.
I feel like the back end of last year, a fairly common narrative of our show has been getting sick.
Yeah,
Um, Now, I kind of feel like there might be a bit, and I think a lot of people would understand this, is getting to the end of the year and you're just burned out
yep.
after a big year. I hope it's not a reflection of the fact that we're around the 50-year-old age bracket.
It
That's my main
potentially could
concern.
be. It potentially could be. But look, I agree with you. I think that it's a pretty common challenge, but also just dealing with left field events. I mean, this is something
Yeah.
I didn't expect. In fact, it was maybe a week or two prior to me getting Cook. I was speaking to my wife and I was saying that I hadn't really got sick at all in 2023.
Mm,
I'd had a
mm,
really good year health wise.
mm.
And yeah, I was actually really happy with how I'd gone, and then I mean, yeah, I felt a little bit burnt out, and I felt like I was going to fall over the line, but yeah, I didn't expect to fall well short of the line, and
Oh, and you did. You
yeah,
crashed and burned
yeah,
horrendously.
and I
Um,
didn't even crawl over the line. Like
no, you
I
didn't.
just
You
I
didn't.
someone dragged me across the line. I don't know who it was. It was just a phase of
You're in the
something,
fetal
but
position, I think, at that
yeah, it
point.
was terrible. But
Yeah.
we got there.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you back on your feet, mate. And it's great to be back behind the mics for 2024. There is a lot to come. But before we get to this year, we talked a little bit about the fact that you cancelled Christmas. But my understanding is that Christmas has still happened in the Walker household, as it very much did in ours.
Yes.
And were there any golf related items under the Christmas tree that Santa may have sneaked in there for you?
Yes, yes, there definitely was. And this is something that was only a late inclusion under the
Mm,
Christmas tree, but it was I think it was probably inspired a little bit by your setup in the garage and we are talking one of the last episodes we are talking about how easy it is from a gym perspective when the gym's
yep.
only in the garage to be able to go and do a workout. And I started to think, okay, well,
Mm,
if I translate that across to golf,
mm,
how's that going to work? So I gave Sandra a call and I asked him for a late inclusion in the form
nice.
of a golf net
Nice.
and just a little practice mat to hit off. So that was included in under the Christmas tree, and I've now got that set up in my garage. And yeah, the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Center Central Coast has definitely taken a turn for the better.
Well, I think this is exciting news. We now have two high performance centres across New South Wales. We have the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central Coast and the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central West.
Correct.
So this is exciting. And on that topic, you might recall at the end of the last episode, I was talking about a little suggestion that I had for Sandra about something that might measure some launch angles and spin rates and carry distances and various things. And
Yeah, something
I'm
like a G10, was it a Garmin G10? I think I remember.
R10, I think it is
R10.
approach R10.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very happy to announce that that did arrive, which
Excellent.
is great. I have given it a little bit of a go,
Nice.
which is fantastic. I haven't had a huge opportunity to test it out though, to be fair, because over the Christmas holidays with everyone back here in the house, the garage has been relatively full of vehicles, which has been a bit of a challenge to hit golf balls.
What
But from
you're not going to just put the mat in between the cars and like give it a crack?
No, no. I
No.
mean, I was tempted to channel some of those short game challenges that you see with just wind the windows down and see if you can chip the ball through the windows and out the other side. Use the wife's car, of course, not my own.
Well, I
But
did see, talking about that, I did see a video where Ian Poulter actually hit, it was like a one iron
yeah,
or a
yeah,
two iron
yeah,
through the
like
two
a
front
Lamborghini or
open. Yeah, it
something.
was a Lamborghini. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
a phenomenal shot.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. That was his 82nd Lamborghini that he went through to get that shot right.
Yeah, a few
So
broken windows in there, but
yeah,
I won't mention that.
no. But anyway, I haven't had a huge amount of opportunity to test out. But what I have been able to do is super impressive. Like I genuinely think when I get into this, as the school term starts up at the beginning of February, I'm going to get into this pretty hardcore,
Yep,
and it's brilliant. Like what it does to give you an opportunity to map your ball flight, even though you're hitting the ball only say 2.5 meters into the net.
yep,
But the radar that picks up to then map your ball flight, show you, and just all the club head data that it gives you as well for swing path and face
yep.
alignment, like face to path alignment, all those sorts of things is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, right.
Attack angle as well. It
Mm.
measures attack angle into the ball, which has been really interesting just to see the difference when you're putting, shifting your weight around in the swing, the difference that can make on attack angle and therefore strike quality and all sorts of
Yeah,
other
right.
elements is really, really cool. I also picked up a box of the Titleist Pro V1 radar capture technology balls,
Ah, good. Yep,
which I haven't tested out yet. I've only used the Garmin with the standard golf balls, and it's been really good. But from what I've read, the RCT balls actually give you a much more accurate spin um, rating because the radar can pick it up more effectively, but only in a short amount of ball flight between the club and the net. It
yep.
doesn't make such a difference outside, but inside apparently it makes a big difference. So
Yeah, right.
that is exciting.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. So we've got technology in the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Center Central West.
It'd be interesting to
Yeah.
actually, if you ever get a chance to do a comparison against, say, like a TrackMan or one of the more expensive devices, launch monitors, like I did with the Garmin G80, because, and I think sort of we covered this at the time that the Garmin G80 wasn't great on distances, but it was quite good on swing speed and quite
Yeah.
good on, I think, smash factor, and there's another metric it was quite good on as well, but it didn't go that good on distances according to the TrackMan data. So it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see how the R10 goes with against
There's
a more expensive launch monitor.
there's a lot of comparisons on YouTube.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I watched quite a few videos before giving Santa the heads up for that unit,
Yeah,
and
right. Yep.
um, it's pretty good. Like it's obviously it's about, I think, buying an R10's between $800 and $1,000. So comparatively against a TrackMan or a Shot Scope or something like that, it's a
Yep.
significantly different price point.
Yep.
Um, but it's pretty good. Like it's pretty accurate. I think the stat is it's something within sort of 3 to 5% accuracy, and to be honest, like looking at the distances that it was showing me that I was hitting clubs into the net, it was pretty close to what I know I hit my distances out on the course anyway. So
Yep.
I think it's absolutely good enough to use for practice at
Yep.
home.
Yep.
A lot of the assessments that you see in the videos online is, sort of the high level coaches saying, well, I wouldn't necessarily use it if I was, using it as a coaching tool for, sort of diagnosing swing issues and some of those things. But absolutely, it's a good testing tool for at
Yeah.
home practice. The other thing that it does is it slows you down. So rather than just beating balls into that, like drag the next one over and hit it, you hit a
Yep.
ball, you stop, you watch because I've got it connected to my iPad. So then turn around and see it on the iPad, see your ball flight and read the numbers. And so it's actually forcing me to take time between shots as well, not just rush through shots. And I think
Yeah,
that in
right.
itself also helps you practice.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about that before about the intent of
Yeah.
practice and just slowing yourself down and not just bringing the next ball over and giving it a whack. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I've tried to go a lot more towards that in my practice, and given the limited time that we've got, I've wanted to use that very intentionally in
Absolutely.
that, just making sure that I'm focused on each shot. I've got an intention with each shot. And I'm doing the right things.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's otherwise it's mindless, like you're
Yeah.
just churning through, and which is fine if you're doing it for a little bit of exercise and meditation, that word again, but not
Yeah.
necessarily if you're doing it to improve technique or
No.
sort of work on something. So that is exciting, and that's definitely something that I'll be focusing on for the rest of this year. And I think it's going to
Nice.
add a bit. The other thing it can do as well is it genuinely acts as a simulator, so you can play courses. It can
All
connect
right.
you.
Okay.
It
Yep.
can connect you into. There's some courses loaded through the Garmin Golf app itself, but it also connects you into E6, which opens up pretty much any golf course around the world.
Right.
Or Awesome Golf is another one, or what is it? GS Pro, I think, is another one that it connects through to. So all of those things, of course, they come with their own subscription fees. But
Do you need a projector and screen for that, or is that something you can
oh,
do on your
you
iPad or
don't have
computer?
to. You don't have to. It just depends the setup that you want. If you want to
Yep.
be looking at it on the screen in front of you,
Yep.
which would be the ultimate thing to do, then yeah, you would need a projector. But otherwise, you could just have it on your iPad screen, which you could then mirror to a TV. So if you put a
Yeah.
TV in the garage, you could
Yeah,
do
for
it like
sure.
that.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's probably what I'll end up doing. Something along those lines. So
Nice.
once things settle down here a little bit and we get back into the swing of things, and I reset up the high performance center in the garage, I'll share some
Yeah,
photos
yeah. Nice.
so that everyone can have a bit of a look at that online. I've got it oriented in the garage to suit left-handers as well. So for all of you right-handers out there, it's nice to live in a left-handed world in my house.
Yeah, may
So,
may have to come out and change that around a little bit.
I don't think so. I mean, you're welcome to come out, but you can experience life as a what it is normally for a left-hander living in a right-handed world.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Speaking of left-handers and right-handers, that is one of the worst segues in the history of the Missing Links Golf Show. But another topic that we do need to cover across the Christmas break, Andy Walker, was the team family team challenge,
Yes, we did. We did.
inaugural team challenge, family challenge. And, I think we've made this clear from the get go. The Missing Links Golf Show is about families as much as it is about our own particular journeys. But
Yeah, absolutely.
the reason we're here is because we're not single blokes with the time to go out and hit the course ourselves all the time. We've got to juggle family commitments, right?
Correct.
So what better way to celebrate that than to bring the families into the journey?
And what an afternoon it was. It was a really enjoyable afternoon. We got a couple of carts
So
and
good.
got
So
the
good.
young blokes out, and yeah, we were tee to green, and the young fellas were putting,
Yeah.
which was quite a interesting
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. It lived up to exactly what I thought it would. I've
Mm,
got to admit. But no, it was a lot of fun. We played the beautiful Cooinda Waters. Unfortunately, due to all the factors we talked about earlier, we were only able to get 9 holes in. So it was a little bit of a truncated contest.
mm.
And look, I think, I mean, I'm happy for you to announce, Andy Walker, the result if you would like.
Do I have to?
I feel like you may have just given it away.
Maybe. Look, I feel. Look, we struggled a little bit, young bloke and I. I mean, I had a few little bunker issues on the fourth.
Yeah, that's true.
The par three, I hit wasn't a great 7-iron. It was one of my sort of signature left shots into the left
Little
bunker, and
tuggy.
yeah, and it just plugged in the back lip of the
Mm.
bunker, and I think I then played ping pong a couple of times across the green,
Yeah,
which
there was a little bit.
didn't do our score the world of good, given you have knocked it in there to what it was about 6 feet, and the young blokes just casually knocked it in
Oh,
straight and
and didn't he
hard.
though? Didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Team Birdie.
It was confident. It was a
It
confident
it was.
stroke.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, it was, yeah, I think Andy Walker's right. It was probably about a 5 or 6 foot or something like that. It was pretty straight, slightly downhill, which I think made it interesting that he decided to take such an aggressive speed
Mm,
at the hole and absolutely slammed it into the back of the cup. It
yeah.
jumped up in the air and then fell back in. So, Team Birdie, we were pretty happy with that. As a father son team, it's our
Mm,
first birdie,
yep.
which was excellent, and certainly got the job done because you were still in the sand after two.
Yes, yes, and I think that even after your young bloke had sunk the putt, I was still playing ping pong in the
Yep,
sand. So
yep,
yeah, we were struggling on that hole, but
yep.
yeah. Anyway, didn't get too much better from there, but you know.
Oh, it was such a good day because I think I've never heard of this format before. I would like to think that we have invented it, and I would like to call this format Missing Links Golf. Just why not? You know,
Yep.
and that is a great way of getting the younger kids involved, and certainly having a bit of a family battle of the adults playing tee to green and let the kids putt. I think it's a cracking format.
Well,
Definitely
it's
one that we'll put on the calendar again.
yeah, it's a lead up to that. What's the tournament they played in the US at the end of last year, where the families got together?
Oh
And,
yeah, the PNC.
yeah, Tiger
Yeah,
played with his young
yeah,
bloke, and
yeah,
Annika Sorensen played with his young
yeah,
bloke, and yeah, that
yeah,
was a great format. So
yeah.
yeah, this could be sort of the lead in to that event.
I mean, I could see them doing that where they play, like they go, oh well, this week, we're going to have a day of better ball, we're going to have a day of foursomes, we're going to have a day of missing links. I
Yep.
could see it sliding in
Oh,
there,
absolutely,
and
100%.
without a doubt. So no, that was a quality day. We had a lot of fun, and then the best part was the rest of the families joined us for dinner at the club, and a nice meal out on the deck.
We did.
It was such a good day. So we'll definitely be doing that one again. It was good to catch up with the Walkers, without a doubt.
Yeah. So what was the final score? I think it was it
I think it
three
was
and
3-2. I think.
3-2? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Over 9 holes isn't particularly that close.
I actually felt like we let a few slip as well.
Mm,
But you're bound to have that. It's always good fun when you hit into the green and then you've got no control over what goes on the green.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's there's some lessons actually. There's some
yeah.
lessons in
There are, yeah,
acceptance that
yes,
go on.
patience.
Yeah, but no, it was fun. I mean, and what I really liked is that the boys enjoyed it. They were having a great time catching up, having a good chat, and I think it's a really good way to start the indoctrination, brainwashing process of getting them into golf as well. Because I
Mm,
can't wait till the day that we actually have a proper four ball with the two of them.
yeah. And what's been good is that, I mean, they've been mates for a few years now,
Mm,
and we've had family holidays together where we've gone away for what 4 or 5 days, and they basically haven't left each other's side, slept in the
mm,
same sort of bedroom on bunks, and just haven't, and not a bad word is said between
yeah,
them. So it was sort of just like falling into sort of the old
yeah, yeah,
tricks
yeah,
of they were having a good chat, tee to green, and all of a sudden we go, hey boys, come and putt,
yeah,
and they'd go and
yeah,
have their putt, and then they'd go back and have their chat again. So I think that certainly that mateship also made it a lot more enjoyable for them.
for sure. They're good guys. They're both good guys. Very proud of them. Nice work, young man. You putted well. Sometimes a little too many times, but you still putted well. It's all good. We've
Yes.
all been there. Which I think kind of also brings me on to a few things that happened over the break. I had a couple of competition rounds.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I haven't told you about these rounds yet, Andy Walker.
Mm.
So I had a couple of competition rounds. I won't go into the gory detail, but just to set a little bit of the scene. One, I actually played the comp on New Year's Day,
Right.
which
Yep.
is always good. That was a
Yep.
special short notice comp that the club here put on. So I jumped in on that.
Nice.
And again, though, it was played. It included the third nine. We've been through this in previous episodes, what
Yep.
that does to the course index and therefore what it does to the required score that you've got to shoot
Yep.
to get a decent round as a counting round on your best 8 of 20 in handicapping purposes. And on this round, I had a flag round dropping out at 12.8, was dropping out the bottom of
Okay.
my rounds.
So
Um,
one of the higher handicap rounds,
it was,
flag rounds. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. My next best non-flagged round was, I think, a 13.9 or something like that. So it wasn't
Yep.
going to be a big deal if I didn't get a flag round. I was going to lose point 0.1 of a shot.
Yep.
So not a major drama. But obviously, you don't want to do that. So the other thing was, though, if I put a good round together, then that had the possibility of dragging me down into the single digits. We've been through this ad nauseum as well on a number of episodes, and I'm going to come back to that point later in the
Yeah, I,
episode.
I I do remember that conversation at some point
Yeah,
in time last year, maybe two, three, four
yes,
times, five
yeah,
times, maybe.
about that.
Yeah.
It's become an issue.
Mm.
Anyhow, on this particular round, I was playing okay, not great, and but hanging in there. Not letting it get away, hanging in there. And I birdied 17, par three,
Nice. Yep.
which really got things back on track. And then I knew if I parred 18, that would be enough to get me into the single digits.
Was that your thought process?
No, it wasn't, but I knew, like,
Okay.
statistically, I knew
Yep.
it. I knew
Yep.
it. So 18, there's a lot of trouble up the left. If you go left, you're dead.
Yep.
If it's a par four, a shortish par four. If you go right, there's a clearing, there's some trees, and then there's a clearing which kind of joins onto the 10th hole that's running in the opposite direction.
Yep.
So you want to go, if you're not going to be up the middle, you want to be slightly right. So anyway, I hit a pretty good drive down the right side of the fairway, and it
Yep.
was just going over kind of the edge of the tree line, very narrow fairway, towards this clearing. Another one of the guys in the group hit a very similar shot down to a similar area. So anyway, we went down there, and there was a social player in a cart coming up 10. And old mate that I was playing with saw him pick his ball up.
Yep.
So he raced over. He was in a cart, raced over to him. I went, hey, you got my ball. He's like, oh, no. It's mine. He's like, well, why did you pick it up and not hit it?
Yeah.
So, I'm playing a couple of balls.
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. So he's like, no, get it out of your pocket. Show me. Sure enough, it was his ball. So he's dropped it down. We look around, can't find my ball anywhere.
Right.
Can't find it. Can't find it. So this guy was not too far away. So we said, hey, mate, did you pick another one? Oh, no, I didn't pick another one up. I only picked one up.
Yeah, of course he did.
I'm like, okay. Like, it's landed in essentially a clearing.
Yep.
There's no hazards. There's no.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. So anyway, I jumped in one of the carts, went up, found this guy who was now near the green. I said, seriously, I'm playing in a comp. If you have got my ball, it's fine. I will give you another ball. I just need to know, because this is going to cost me 2 shots.
Yep.
And he looked me in the eye and he said, no, absolutely, I haven't got it. And I looked at his girlfriend that was sitting in his cart and I said, did you pick it up? And she went, don't know.
Yeah. Good one.
He wouldn't admit to it. Ball's gone. I had to go back and play 3 off the tee.
That hurts.
I made par with my second ball for a double bogey for an 83 for 13.9 differential. Heartbreak.
That's tough. That's tough. Well, I mean, look, I think you've got to see the positives. Given that you made par with your second ball, you didn't drop your bundle and just go, nah, that's it, done. You actually, if you made, par second ball, you're still on the board at least. So you can, as disappointing as what it was, I think you can still maybe draw some positives from it, as frustrating as what it is.
It was frustrating. I was cranky. And then I got home and I did a little bit of reflecting after I was thinking about the fact that old mate needing, really obviously really needing a TP5X in his bag. Cost me 2 shots. So particularly because the other ball that he was playing was a hot dot. But anyway, that's another issue.
Good one.
But then when I was in my honest moments later that night, I reflected back on the 3 putts that I made on the first 9. And I acknowledged that potentially that cost me just as much as old mate picking my ball up. So I think there's something in that for all of us.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, there are those moments, I think, in every round where you can go back and either go, oh, I could have picked up some shots here, or I'll let go of some shots there. So different circumstances, obviously, but I think you can do that in every round.
Oh, look, you can. You absolutely can. So yes, we played that. I did play another round that I don't think we need to talk about at all.
Was it that good?
Just suffice to say, the handicap didn't move.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll move on from that. That that was a medal round, and yeah, things we struggled just a little bit, particularly putting. And I do think I said I would come back to this, but I do think this fixation with trying to get under 10 and having that as a barrier, I need
Yep.
to let that go,
Yeah. Right.
because that's not helping.
Yep.
And I think that's putting outcome thoughts rather than
Yep.
process thoughts in
Yeah.
my head. So my
Yep.
challenge now is actually to let that go. It will happen when it happens.
Yep.
It's not an outcome that should be focused on. So
Mm,
I
mm,
think I'll just throw that one out there, and
yep.
leave that there, for now, and see what
Mm,
comes of it.
mm. Well, I mean, I can say that over the Christmas period, I did not play any comp rounds,
Mm.
which, given my my health, isn't overly surprising. I did have a game though with a friend of the show, David McClelland. He
Oh, how
invite
is Dave?
he's really really good actually.
That's fantastic.
He has actually made the Australian seniors team to play the Defence Force teams,
That
which
is awesome.
he's really looking forward to. I think that's later this month. So yeah, so he's starting
That is
to
fantastic. We need
yeah
to get Dave back on the show to talk us through how that goes.
yeah absolutely. And look, I mean he was pretty keen to start doing some practice again. So we had a bit of a text conversation. And he said, well, why don't we'll go out and have a game at Magenta Shores. I mean, Magenta is one of those golf courses which is really challenging, and
Mm.
it's a really good golf course when you're trying to, I guess, prepare for a tournament and prepare for tournament golf. And
It's unforgiving.
yeah, and that's it. And
Yeah.
you've got to play to certain areas, and you've got to stay away from other areas.
Mm.
So look, I mean, I shot 11 over. I had 83 around Magenta, which I wasn't overly disappointed with. It's about my average out at Magenta.
It's not a bad round.
Um, yeah, look, I had some good shots, hit some pretty ordinary shots. I mean, David, he probably had 5 or 6 over, so he got me quite comfortably.
Mm.
But look, and then obviously we had our 9 holes in the Hink slash Walker team challenge, so they were my
Mm.
2 rounds over Christmas. But yeah, I do need to start getting back into playing some competition golf. I mean, the last competition
Mm.
round that I had was the Missing Links Masters, and throughout the first part of December, I was pretty busy with work in the lead up to Christmas, and then we don't need to revisit my issues over
No,
Christmas. So
no.
yeah, keen to get back into playing some competition golf, which yeah, I'll maybe not this week, but maybe next week I might try and sneak out and have a comp round.
I think there's no substitute. My personal view. I know we've been through this. I think
Mm.
you just what it like. You can't fake that level of intensity of a competition round in a practice round.
Yeah, yeah, I
You know,
agree with that.
you really can't. So there's no substitute, is my view.
Mm.
Um, Very good. So I do actually have a comp round coming up in a couple of days, this Saturday, which is exciting. I will be traveling a little. So I'm booked in to play a course that I'm not familiar with a group of people who I do not know. Um,
Right.
so just, yeah,
I'm
rang up.
assuming it's not your home club then.
No, no, no. That's a course I am familiar with, and a lot of people that
Yeah,
I do know.
yeah, yeah.
No, no, no. I'll be playing. I'll actually be playing Wentworth Golf Club in Orange,
Oh yeah,
which is a good track. I have played it once just on my own as a social practice round.
yeah.
But yeah, just I thought I'll be there over the weekend for other reasons. Rang the club. They were incredibly friendly, very, very
Nice.
welcoming. So yeah, we'll have a hit around there, and that's another stroke event. So stroke event on a course that you're not overly familiar with.
Mm, mm.
Fantastic.
Giddy up.
Yeah, bring it.
Mm.
So we'll talk about that in due course. We probably won't talk about it next week because we've got something more exciting to talk about next week. We'll get to that a little bit
Yes, we
later.
do. We do.
Yep. So yeah, that's what's going on. But enough about the past, Andy Walker. I think it's time to talk about the future. To talk about plans for this year and
Mm.
where we're going to go. I want to talk about this from two perspectives. I want to talk about
Yep.
plans for 2024 for us individually,
Yep.
from a golf point of view. I also want to talk about plans for 2024 for the Missing Links Golf Show because I think there's
Mm.
a few exciting things in store.
Absolutely.
Um,
I agree.
so I don't know. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, look, I mean, my certainly from a practice plan perspective, my uh, over Christmas and the gifts that Santa left me under the tree has certainly changed my perspective on how I'm going to go about my practice plan. I think the last time we were talking about how I was going to approach 2024, I had
Mm,
mentioned because of the swing changes that I'm making at the moment, I was going to spend more time on the practice range and less time playing, and certainly not playing in competitions. And I had a bit of a chat to David McClellan while I was out at Magenta, and just talking to him about his approach those last couple of years that he talked about when he was working and what he was doing. He talked about when he was on the way sort of home from seeing a client or back to the office from seeing a client, he'd drop in to practice the practice range and just
mm,
hit some
mm,
balls for 15, 20 minutes.
mm.
And I asked him, I said, so were you also playing as well? And he said, yeah, playing in a comp round once a week. So he played every Saturday
Yep.
in addition to all of those little sort of practice sessions I was having during the week. So it got me sort of thinking a little bit, and this was sort of part of my thought process around. I mentioned briefly about you having your setup in the garage, and me thinking that it'd be better for me to have a setup in the garage.
High
And one of
performance
the
center, I think
yeah, the high
is the
performance center.
phrase. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. Um, so yeah, so then I part of the plan for 2024 is rather than going to the practice range and hitting balls, given that I work predominantly from my home office, I've got the practice net and the high performance center in the garage. So which means that 2 or 3 times a day, I can just sneak out into the high performance center and spend 15
So good.
minutes
So good.
practicing. And if I
So
do
good.
that, like, 5 days a week,
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
that's going to make a huge difference
Yeah.
to my game, and will basically nullify the need for me to actually go to the practice fairway
Mm,
and hit full shots. I
mm.
still plan on going to the practice fairway to work on my wedges, so from say 30 to 100 meters.
Yeah. I think
But
there's no substitute for that because
but the full
that's,
swing, I
yeah.
think I can do the majority of that and work through these swing changes and probably get through them a lot quicker
Yeah.
by using the high performance center setup.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's so much that you can do with it, and just having the ability to swing the club, and the more that you
Mm,
can obviously swing the club in the right way, hitting balls, the sooner that you can groove those new moves in.
yeah,
I think there's a lot to be said, and I know, from my own, and it's been very limited because it hasn't been long that the Central West High Performance Centre has been set up,
yep,
and but it's made a huge difference,
mm,
and it does transfer to the course. Like just the
yeah,
consistency of ball striking, I know
yep,
has improved for me substantially
mm, mm,
since the introduction of Missing Links Golf Show Central West High Performance Centre.
yeah, yeah,
We'll see. We're going to see how many times we can say those words in a given episode,
yep,
because it feels great.
yeah, yeah, yep. Well, interestingly as well, and something that I found in the garage, which I wasn't actually looking for, I forget what I was actually looking for, but I came across
Never
a
found it.
never found it. But what I found was way more interesting. I
Yeah.
came across an old camera tripod that I'd completely forgotten that I had, and
Yeah.
I actually bought it back in 2003. I had a trip when I was single across to the UK, spent a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks over in the UK, traveling around, and I'd bought this digital camera and a tripod
Mm,
to take photos on, and take, because you didn't have a selfie stick in those days, so up on the
exactly.
tripod,
Exactly.
timer, and was taking a lot of selfies of my trip around the UK. So I found this, just, and I said I don't remember what I was looking for, didn't find it, but I found this tripod, and then I started looking on Amazon, and I found this attachment for my phone that I just screw into the top of the tripod.
So good. So good.
So now I've actually got a tripod and phone holder set up where I can also record my swing while I'm in the high performance center. And
Which is perfect. So I think we need to get some footage on the Missing Links Golf Show Facebook page and Missing Links Golf at Instagram sooner rather than later, Andy Walker.
Yep, I agree. I agree. I mean, I've got plenty of material now, so can go through and post a couple of videos of the new setup. So yeah, so I'm actually pretty happy with some of the
It's
finds and
exciting.
some of the acquisitions over the Christmas break.
That is exciting.
Mm,
Look, my outlook for 2024 is pretty similar to that. I too have a tripod from a similar era.
yeah, right.
So you've
Yep.
inspired
Yep.
me.
Yep.
You've inspired me. I haven't really done much filming of the swing in the HPC
Mm,
at this point. High Performance Center, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not caught up on the acronyms. But I definitely intend on doing that. And I think I feel like we owe it to everybody to be posting these on the social channels sooner rather than later and getting some content out there.
yeah, for sure.
I would invite some feedback as well
Bit of
from
coaching feedback, you think?
from the listeners for some things to look at. I think why not? Let's crowdsource
Mm,
this improvement journey that we're on.
mm. Yeah, not convinced
Obviously,
that's the best way forward, but hey,
I
let's
was
give it
going
a
to put a
crack.
caveat on it saying we obviously will take all feedback with the grain of salt with which it is intended, and
Yep.
won't necessarily put all of those tips into play. But
Mm,
nevertheless, it could be a bit of fun. If anyone wants to practice their coaching skills and their analysis skills, then please feel
mm,
free to do so. We'll get some
mm.
stuff up there sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Which does kind of bring me to another topic, Andy Walker, is plans for the show this year and how we might branch out.
Yep.
We're now in double digits for our number of episodes, which I think is great.
Who
You
would
know,
have thunk it?
who would have? Probably the biggest achievement is that we've been disciplined enough to continue to do this on a weekly basis, and I think
Correct.
the only reason is because we kind of enjoy it. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Well, it's just two mates having a chat, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I think we covered it in the first episode that we regularly had these conversations of,
Yeah,
45 minutes to an hour. I mean, I'd be traveling down to Sydney and I'd just give you a call and we'd have these conversations and you just go, that should have been a podcast episode. We
should
should
have
have
been a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, now not much has changed. It's just two blokes having a chat about what they're doing from a golf perspective. The only difference is, that there's the odd person from Australia, the odd person from the US, the odd person from New Zealand, from Japan, from Mexico,
Mm,
listening in. So hello
yep.
to all of you out there. It's wonderful. Once again, Happy New Year. But what we want to do this year is we talked a little bit about Instagram, but we also, I think we're at the point, Andy Walker, we were getting serious about getting some of this stuff on YouTube as well.
Yep.
So you can feel like you can join the living room and get involved in the conversation, which that'll be
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I think there was a feedback from one of our loyal listeners that said we've got, good heads for podcasting, but I'm really
Let's
feeling as
test it out.
though, yeah, I'm really feeling as though we need some video content out there just to get our heads on the screen.
I think so. I think we owe it to the world to get our faces out there. I really do.
That's a scary thought, isn't it?
Really, but it also will raise the stakes just a little bit to say at this point, as I'm sure is no surprise to everyone, we've done zero editing. These are just live records
Yep.
that we're putting out there, but it might give us the impetus to actually try and learn a little bit about editing and put some things together, because if we're going to record some swings, we're going to talk about those things as well, then
Yeah,
potentially
definitely.
we might need to up the ante on the technology stakes just a little bit,
Yeah,
which
yeah. I
is
definitely
bound to
think
happen.
that's an area of improvement that
Mm,
we've got to focus on, not just game improvement, but tech
mm.
improvement as well.
Oh, because we've got so much time, you know, so much
Just
time to work on these
just
things.
just add it to the task list.
So I mean, it's only working full time, parenting, having relationships, trying to get better at golf. What's a bit of video editing skill
Yeah.
development into the mix? I mean, it can't be that hard. Seriously.
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? The bite off more than you can chew and chew like hell.
They do say that. I think they also
Mm.
say if you want something done, give it to the busiest person in the room.
Exactly.
And I
And
feel like
they'll get it done. Yeah.
there's truth in that. Um, So that is exciting. You know what else is exciting? This is
What's
another
that?
thing which is
Mm.
exciting, which is coming in 2024. And this is hopefully, I say this with crossed fingers because we're waiting on samples to arrive, but that is a new line of the Missing Links Golf Show merchandise. Andy
Wow.
Walker, this is
I
exciting.
like that. I'm pumped. I am really excited by merch. I mean, who doesn't love some good merch?
Oh, we all love merch. Um, so I received an email earlier today
Yep.
from one of our manufacturers
Yep.
that the prototype of the Missing Links Golf Show ball marker
Wow.
has been
Yep.
shipped.
Nice. Nice.
I'm not sure where it's been shipped from.
Or do you know where it's been shipped to?
It's been shipped to my house. That
Excellent.
much I know.
Excellent.
I
Good
hope.
one. Good one.
At least that's what I put on the
Mm.
that's what I put on the order. But anyway, that has been shipped. So we'll hopefully see them pretty soon. And also in the mix is a Missing Links Golf Show golf cap.
Ooh. Ooh, the cap. I
Yeah.
like it. I like so this is potentially stuff we could offer some of our guests on the show. So I'm
Well, I
sure
think
that
it'd be rude not to.
I think throughout this year, I mean, we've already had one guest, as you know, David McCollum, but whenever
Yeah.
we have guests on the show, surely, part of that, them coming on the show should be to receive some merch.
I would have thought so. Um, I want to join the dots a little bit here too, because you just talked about David McClellan playing for Australia against the Defence Force team. Now,
Yeah.
I imagine there's a certain amount of kit that he gets provided with, but
Yeah.
what do you
I
think the
reckon,
chances
I
are?
reckon Golf Australia probably gives him a fair bit of stuff.
Yeah, but what do you think the chances are of him squeezing on a Missing Links Golf Show hat for those rounds when he's representing his country?
I reckon he gets a cap.
If he could find his way to get that one on his melon out on the
Mm,
during that
mm.
contest.
I,
If
I reckon
not,
a ball marker. I reckon
that's
he
it.
could do a ball marker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because that would fill me with immense pride if we could see some of that merch.
Have an Australian rep with the Missing Links Golf Show merch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Nice.
And I mean, the only thing next that we would need to do would be to get some of that merch into the hands of someone that might have something to do with the PGA Tour. Andy Walker,
That's a
what do you
big
think?
call. That's a big
Well,
call.
is it though? Is it? Because I think there's an opportunity here.
Mm, mm.
I do think there's an opportunity here. And this is, whilst I made a dreadful segue earlier in this episode, I think this is a brilliant segue
Right.
because this leads me into the announcement of what's happening next week.
All right. Okay. What's happening next week?
Do you not know? Have I
Should
not
I know?
told you this?
Should I know?
I think you, I hope you, if you, otherwise you're not reading your messages.
I'm
Ladies
a
and
busy. I'm a
gentlemen,
busy man.
I know, ladies and gentlemen, next week, or next episode, which I assume is going to be next week, all things considered, touch wood.
Well,
Um,
given what happened at the end of last year, there's
I know
no
we take nothing
guarantee
for
with
granted.
that.
We take nothing for granted. But next week, we are aiming to have on our show our very first international guest of the Missing Links Golf Show. I'm not going to give away names at this point. That can wait. But I will say this. This individual has played on the PGA Tour.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
He has also spent 10 years as a touring professional across a variety
Nice.
of tours globally,
Mm, mm.
and now works full time with a number of very high profile players on the PGA Tour and the Australasian Tour
Wow.
as a
Okay.
golf psychologist.
Now there's a couple of opportunities there. I mean, if you're talking about, merch to a PGA Tour player, then I mean
That's what I'm talking about.
that's a good opportunity right there. But we did do a mental golf episode not that long
Yes,
ago, and I feel as though we left that with
a lot of
way too many
questions.
questions and not many answers.
Yeah, I hope to get some answers in this
Yeah.
episode.
Okay.
And what I do hope is to probably get a few answers about some of the psychological barriers that I seem to be rubbing up against at the moment, in particular with the flat stick.
Yeah.
But but that is exciting. That is going to get us off to an absolutely cracking start in
Wow.
2024.
Yeah. I'm pumped. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep, me too. So it is exciting. The only, I think the major risk is us just juggling the time zone difference because he's based in
Mm.
California. So
Yeah, right.
hopefully we all jump on Zoom at the same time
Mm.
and the same day.
That might be a challenge. That might be a challenge. Well, look, I'm gonna have to go back and read my emails.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, you will. You will.
and I'll get excited all over again when I read the emails. I've got something to look forward to tomorrow.
No, it's huge. It is absolutely huge. So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a hell of a lot to look forward to. I mean, we're obviously we're going to get out there and dominate social media. Quietly to start with.
Mm.
We've got merch on the way. We've got international
Nice.
guest on the way. There's a lot going on. This is a big year for the Missing Links Golf Show.
Yeah.
Not the least of which is also the introduction of not one but two high performance centres across New South Wales. So
Yep.
it's
Yep.
all happening.
That's the only way is up,
Well, yeah, I
potentially.
guess. Hopefully not for our handicaps.
No, or our strokes gained.
Yeah, yeah. So look, I think that's about it for this week, Mr. Walker. Is there anything else that you think that we've missed?
No, look, I think that that covers it. I mean, I something I mentioned a little bit earlier, which we haven't sort of come back to, is the discussion around Ernie Els and what his views
Oh,
are on the
oh yeah.
on the flat stick, and
Mm,
certainly the long flat stick, because I do remember having
mm,
the
mm,
conversation
mm,
with you, and you brought up that he'd
mm,
just made a comment that he didn't
mm,
think it was fair having the broomy. So over Christmas, or more so the
mm,
second part of Christmas after New Year's, I did a bit
mm,
of research on his history
mm,
and what his views are and have been on the long putter. And I mean, first of all, he was dead against the long putter. Like,
mm,
you know, was really, this was sort of pre 2011, and he started actually using the long putter. And his British Open win, which was like 2013, 2014, if I remember
mm.
correctly.
Was it
He was,
was it that late or was it before that?
yeah, no, it
Because
was,
what Adam Scott won the Masters in 2013.
yeah, and it was before that when Adam Scott bogeyed 4 holes in a row to get into a playoff with Ernie Els, I think, and Ernie Els beat him.
Right.
Yeah, so that was, yeah, it was like 2000, and might have been 2012
Mm,
ish, so it's somewhere around there. Anyway, the in 2011 when he went across to use the long putter, and he was using the belly putter,
mm.
his quote was, "As long as it's legal, I'll keep cheating like the rest of them."
Oh, that's a great outlook. I mean, honestly, the moral strength of that kind of a statement and just the value that he obviously places on ethics um, is just magnificent. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the big easy tiger, because I feel that that's right up there with the, well, if
Mm.
everyone else was jumping off the Sydney Harbour Bridge, would you
Yeah,
jump off it too?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's quality.
Yeah, so then he's gone as they were making the announcements for the changes in 2016. He then went on to say, so in all honesty, I'm not for it if they change it, but if so, then so be it. I'm not the rules maker. There are people that want to look after the game and the future of the game. And if they feel as though they need to ban it, I'll go with it. But I'm definitely not for that. Which articulately, I'm not necessarily convinced that's the, you know,
Don't, Ernie,
it,
I
yeah.
don't even
But
know what you're saying.
well, he's basically saying that he was against the changes that were made in 2016.
But
So
if they change, then he won't necessarily be for it either.
yeah. So it's yeah, it's a
I
bit
feel like
convoluted.
I feel like he's definitely running the risk of getting a few splinters on his rear end with that kind of an
Yeah,
approach. But
yeah, yeah. So here he is pre 2011 saying I'm not for it, saying as long as it's legal, I'll keep cheating like the rest of them. When he changed over,
Just love that
then
statement.
coming
So good.
into that 2016 to the changes, he's like, no, no, they shouldn't do it. I'm not for it. And now he's saying that they should ban it. But what he's also said, and I was reading some of the stuff that he was saying, is that so he says to have these putters anchored to your body, to your forearm, to your chest in many instances, I don't believe that's in the spirit of the game. But like, it's not anchored. That was part of the rules change in 2016, was to move away from the anchoring. Now, I know there have been discussions around, say, Bernard Langer, and a lot of people still believe that he anchors at times, but
That's a big statement.
certainly Adam Scott and the light Lucas Glover, who's
Mm,
using the long putter now, they're nowhere near anchoring it. So I just feel as though Ernie, well, he's sort of flip flopping more than a politician,
mm.
but B, I just get the feeling he may be sort of sampling a bit too much of his own produce.
Well, I think that's a very real possibility. Um, the other thing that I'd like to highlight out of those quotes is that he's gone from so long as it's legal, I'll cheat like the rest of them. The oxymoronic statement, but anyway, all that aside. Then he goes the full 180 to say, well, I don't believe it's in the spirit of the game.
Hmm.
Um, so to me, it smacks of English cricket team,
Yeah, it's interesting because that was my thought as well. Was
you know.
absolutely 100%. Because I mean they did have a moral victory in the Ashes.
Well, they've had a lot of moral victories this year. I mean, even the Pakistan team apparently was the better team across the three
Yeah,
Test
yeah,
series
they
recently in
played
Australia.
the best
Played the
cricket,
better
definitely.
cricket. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently in this day and age, it's different to when I used to play the game. But in this day and age, the better cricket doesn't necessarily win your games. And I think there's something in that for all of us. Actually,
Yeah.
there's not. So don't take
No,
anything out of that.
no.
Um, wow. Well, that's some big stuff with the Big Easy.
Well,
Good.
interesting because I was a massive fan of Ernie Els. I really looked up to Ernie Els when in the '90s when he was playing his best golf, and there was a President's Cup that where him and Tiger just had this massive duel,
Yes. Yes, they
and
did. Yeah.
they ended up calling it off because it was too dark, and they
Yeah.
just called it a draw.
Yeah.
Which I've actually watched replays of that, and like he played such good golf, and to match it with well, I don't believe Tiger's the greatest golfer of all time. I still believe that mantle is Jack Nicklaus. However,
Hard to
to
argue.
match it with the second best golfer of all time,
Ooh.
um, I think is pretty commendable. But yeah, I'm not convinced that his mind and his viewpoint is something that I'll be taking too much notice of going into the future.
Well, you've certainly taken him to task at the end of this episode, Andy Walker, and I think
Mm,
well done for calling someone out. We have talked many other times about friends of the show. I feel like we're moving into territory now where we've got the first nemesis of the show, and every hero needs a villain. So,
absolutely, absolutely, I agree.
Ernie, as I'm sure you are out there listening, albeit we don't have any African listeners just yet, but I'm
Mm.
sure you're listening via some type of a proxy server somewhere that's making it,
VPN, I believe.
yeah, that's making it show up as if you're in Sydney or something like that.
Mm,
Yes, you are now officially nemesis number one of the Missing Links
mm.
Golf Show.
And look, happy to for people to make comments about it. Get some feedback, get some discussion, because go back and read some of his stuff
Yeah,
and just his
yeah,
flip flopping around. I found it quite extraordinary, actually,
yeah,
just his different viewpoints.
yeah. Well, you heard it here first, ladies and
Mm.
gentlemen. On that note, I think that's a not a bad
That's a
place to
wrap.
wrap things up,
Mm.
Mr. Walker. It's controversial, but I just a reminder, very excited about next week. Sorry, yeah, big episode next week. I think we're all going to learn a lot out of that,
Yeah, definitely.
and I can't wait. Um, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, and of course we do have both ladies and gentlemen as listeners of the Missing Links Golf Show.
We do.
We're non-binary. Please click that. No, okay, we are binary, like a bit like putting. It's either you either make the putt or you don't. Anyway, I'm rambling. please click that auto download button. You know what else? I'd like this to happen. Leave a review. Get on there, leave a review. There are a couple
Definitely.
of reviews. We do have a couple of reviews via, I think, iTunes. So please get in there and do that. That actually does make a difference in the rankings, and the rankings makes a difference because then we get shared to more people and potentially pick up new listeners. So it's all quite important to spread the gospel.
Yep.
But jump on the social channels, the Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook. You'll also be able to chase us down on Instagram. Keep an eye out on YouTube for things coming at you very, very soon, and some fantastic content to come out of the two Missing Links Golf Show high performance centers, one on the Central Coast and one in the Central West. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week. Andy Walker, it's been a lot of fun.
Yep. See you next week, everyone.